Hi, everyone. I'm Randy Arrington, and welcome to episode 101 of Page Valley Livin'. During the month of January, or what's left of it, we're going to have a series of 3 episodes taking the State of the Union of each of our towns here in the Page Valley. We'll be talking of each of our mayors in each of the 3 towns to talk about what accomplishments were made in 2025 and what to look forward to in 2026. And next week, we're going to head down to Stanley, talk with Mayor Michael Knight about issues down there. The week after that, we'll be in the town of Shenandoah to talk to Mayor Clinton Lucas. But today, we start off here with Mayor Stephanie Lillard of the town of Luray and Town Manager Bryan Chrisman. Thank both of you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk all the things about the town of Luray, things did in 2025, what to look forward in 2026, right after a word from our sponsor. Hawksbill Assisted Living in Luray is now accepting new admissions. Hawksbill Assisted Living, powered by Valley Care Management, offers quality care at affordable rates, professionally trained staff, and veterans aid and attendance. Come visit Hawksbill Assisted Living, located near the beautiful Hawksbill Greenway in Luray. Call for a tour today or learn more at valleycaremanagement.com. Welcome back, everybody. We're here in the Town Council chambers in the town of Luray, and today we're going to be talking with Mayor Stephanie Lillard and Town Manager Bryan Chrisman about what we've done in 2025 and what to expect in 2026. I'm going to start off with an easy one, Mayor. In general, how are things in the town of Luray?
I will say that things are going really, really well. We had an exciting year in 2025. It was it had its fair share of challenges, but we had a good team at the helm here under Mr. Chrisman and with our department heads, and we saw a lot of good work being completed. We had some affirmations on some of the work that still needs to be done, thinking about capital improvements and efficiencies and our codes. And but in general, really, really good. Still seeing a lot of business activity in the local economy, and that always makes us happy. And continuing to see investments and interest in our Main Street. And really not a lot we can complain about.
Right, very good, very good. I'm going to get to Mr. Chrisman in just a moment, but I also want to ask you, what was your best moment as mayor in 2025?
This is an incredibly tough question. There were so many. I think right at the gate, just initially, the support from the community, this being my first term as mayor, was really overwhelming and humbling. But throughout the year, it's different. You know, I've been serving on council for several years prior to becoming mayor, but I see it through a bit of a different lens as mayor, and I didn't anticipate that, if I'm being honest, and so. Specifically, when I think about event, I mean, we wrapped up 2025 with a whole rack card full of events through our Main Street and working in collaboration with Parks and Rec and our chamber, and they were all so successful. We continue to see year after year growth and interest there, both with our local residents, which makes my heart happy, and all the families, but also our visitors. But if I had to pick one, I would say in September of this past year, we had Virginia Rural Leadership Institute, which is a program that I had the opportunity to participate in, and it's designed to recruit younger, upcoming professionals around the Commonwealth for leadership in their communities, specifically in rural communities. And it afforded me some great opportunity, a lot of learning. And so I was very delighted when they reached out and asked if we would consider hosting them this year with their new cohort. And so being on the other side of that as, again, a previous graduate of the program, having the new cohort come here and seeing their interest and inquisitions about how did you get here, where did you come from, right, what's coming down the pipeline, how can we apply these strategies and some of these efforts in our own community. It really brought it full circle for me. When I had made application to participate in that program, I'd had my sights set on running for mayor, and at that time it's to be determined. And so now being on the other side of that, that was a really nice moment. Yeah.
Very good. That's a really good one. You know, I noticed Luray. I mean, I know it's been this way for many years, but in recent years, more and more hosting conferences and events and things like that. And really becoming a place that people are talking about and wanting to come back to after they come for those conferences. Mr. Chrisman, I'm going to ask you here, first question as we start out really going back into some of the things of 2025, and we'll get back over to the mayor in a moment, but of all the things that the council accomplished in 2025, and council was pretty active, particularly in changing, looking at affordable housing, zoning, and a lot of issues going on there, as well as I believe y'all were working on some comp plan things as well. But what do you think of all the things accomplished in 2025? What will most benefit the citizens of Luray?
I think just the two things that you mentioned, updating our comprehensive plan to be more inclusive with all of the items will help Luray citizens probably for the next 5 to 10 year window. But specifically, the council was very active. Our planning commission, our staff, and our council were very active in updating our ordinances. There's not a whole lot that we can do when it comes to certain processes in our community.
Right.
But the things we can do are things that relate to our ordinances and trying to make those more user-friendly, more open for affordable housing options, and to make housing sizes, minimum housing sizes smaller, looking at our processes and things like that to try to encourage folks to use other housing options. That was a big task for the council, but just about every meeting in 2025, we had some sort of ordinance amendment, and that really needs to be a fluid document. We really need to bring that into reality. We just can't sit back and just go with what was done 30 years ago. So 10 years from now, it'll be a different ordinance than we see today. But I think for today's citizens in our community today, those were probably the most beneficial changes that we did in 2025.
A growing, living document
That's
that
correct.
really should change as we go along. If I would say if you're not making changes, you all are probably not addressing issues being brought to you by the citizens. And I would pose the same question to you, Mayor, of all the things the council did in 2025, busy year. What do you think most benefited the citizens of Luray?
Sure, I would say in addition to what Mr. Chrisman has offered, having completed the year with a good audit where, it showed that we were good stewards of the tax dollar. But moreover, when we were going through the budget process for this year, being able to, working with our department heads and with Bryan, again, and leadership here, present a budget that allowed us to maintain our rates and not have to pass any additional burden on to our local citizens. So at the end of the day, and yes, the toilets need to flush, and the sidewalks need to be repaired and potholes filled, and but when it comes to your personal finances, and you're asked to kind of where's the priority? Obviously it's both.
Right.
But we hear it all the time about taxes, and affordability for our community and for our locals, and it really is. It is a great priority to our current council, and so I take a lot of pride in that. And I think that it's fair to say it's a
You said something that made me want to pivot back to Mr. Chrisman just for a second, because you've been with the town of Luray for how many years now?
Just past 19 years on January 8th.
Well, I think even predating you, the town of Luray, I have to say, I'm not just, blowing smoke here or whatever, has been very well managed fiscally. They've always had a good reserve. They've taken care of it, the money pretty well. I can't think of a time when they were really in dire straits or had to borrow money just to make payroll, or other situations that other agencies in the county have been in.
Right.
What would you credit to that?
I would say just great staff, great internal programs that help us with our finances. We actually do a pre-audit prior to our formal audit, which really helps to iron out any wrinkles that might be there. But just that whole expectation that we've had a strong backing, we've had a strong history, we want to continue that. And, we really don't take major changes to our revenue, such as tax increases or anything lightly. We do those only when we have to. We try to find alternative sources of funding and or to cut our expenses. And just trying to manage a strong underlying balance. You always try to spend less than you make.
Right.
And that's been a financial philosophy for the town for many, many years.
Yeah. And I have to tip my hat to some strong councils over the years.
Definitely.
Very responsible, informed council members that seem to get along pretty well.
They do. Yep.
I'm going to open up the rest of this first segment here. Let you guys kind of bounce back and forth. If you want to talk about some more things that was done in 2025, start with you, Mayor.
Okay, I know. I'm like, what have we not included? Well, just specifically focusing on a couple of our departments, thinking about our Parks and Rec department. This year, there was a lot of improvement, something that early on, well, I would say year after year since I've been on council, but even early on, the anticipation of the warmer months, what are we going to do about Lake Arrowhead? Every year I've been on council, as I mentioned, there was a lot of kind of outpour from the community, both residents in that area and then also just our everyday citizens that like to use those facilities up there, and feeling like that they could not go up there and enjoy the tranquility and the landscape that was to be enjoyed without kind of the burden of the overly populated visitors, some locals, but the use, really, the folks were just taking advantage of our facilities up there. And so
it's almost a case of Lake Arrowhead being a victim of its own success, don't you think? I mean, because it get more and more crowded and folks coming in.
Being a no-cost resource, and in a time, again, I think just it's kind of a silver lining, and also cost of the pandemic, right? When folks were looking to escape all the cement sprawl and found our community and with the beautiful outdoors and what we have to offer. And I think just year over year, they go back and they tell their family, and they come back next year and they bring their friends and the family, and it's just the multiplier effect. And so it's how could we strike that balance and work with our Parks and Rec department to build systems up there and look at ways that, again, we could set forth kind of some rules that enabled our locals to enjoy it, but also set some accountability in place when folks were taking advantage of the property.
Absolutely.
And that was no easy task. No. And then one other thing is with our police department, it continues to be an incredibly challenging task with filling those positions and keeping retention. Bo, our chief, has done a fine job of keeping the department filled and the morale high. And so we're really proud of all of our departments, but specifically those two.
Very good. I apologize for
It's okay.
interrupting you there. And talking about Bo, they have a new K9 unit. We're trying to schedule a show with him so you do a demonstration with your new K9 unit here in the spring. So cross my fingers that we put that together. I would pose the same question to you. Is there anything on 2025 that you want to point out before we turn the page, take a break and turn the page?
Certainly, we continue to invest heavily in our infrastructure, our water and sewer infrastructure from the 40s and 50s and 60s. It ages every day. It doesn't get any younger. It doesn't get any better. So the council has been very open to recognizing those issues and helping to fund those. Our department heads have been great about trying to pinpoint and prioritize those efforts. Right. We're spending a lot of money, heavily investing into our infrastructure systems, and those will be projects that will benefit Luray citizens for the next 50 years. Right. So it's a great return on investment. Right. It's not sexy or fancy, but it's necessary. Right.
Absolutely. I was at a public meeting, I don't know, the last 2 or 3 years, and somebody brought up a question, well, we've got all this growth, have y'all given any thought to how we're going to handle this growth, and do we have enough water and enough sewer? Do you have any plans? And I had to giggle to myself because it's, of course. I mean, you guys have looked at 5, 10, 20, 40. I mean, you guys, not only is it a heavy regulated thing by the state and others, but I mean, you all have certain things that you have to meet, and you absolutely do nothing but plan. Correct. Or how much capacity do we have and how much are we going to need. So I think folks should feel pretty comfortable that y'all at least have an idea of where you need to be a decade, 2 decades, 4 decades out. Am I right?
I hope they feel comfortable with it. We do a lot of that planning. Most of the stuff that I look at is 20 to 40 years in Luray's future. Right. So the department heads are a little closer than that. They're looking at a 5 to 10 year horizon. Okay. And then daily operations take care of today, tomorrow, and next month. Right. So we do a layered approach, but I think that any successful community has to have that same focus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just want people to be aware that y'all absolutely have given a ton
certainly.
of thought to,
Totally.
to what the capacities may be and the demand on the system in the years to come. And when we get to our second segment here in just a moment, we're going to turn the page over to 2026. What's coming up over the next 12 months? What sort of projects are ongoing and what plans are in the works? We'll talk about all of that when we come back in just a moment after another word from our sponsor.
Whispering Pines Assisted Living is now accepting new admissions. Quality care at affordable rates, professionally trained staff, memory support, and short-term respite stays are all offered by Whispering Pines Assisted Living, powered by Valley Care Management, where home and heart meet. Call for a tour today on Leakesville Road in Luray or learn more at valleycaremanagement.com.
Welcome back, everyone. And now, here still in the council chambers for the town of Luray, we're going to turn the page from 2025 and talk about 2026. Mayor Lillard, of all the things planned for 2026, what are you most excited about?
Let's see. So many. If I had to, I'm like, the top two that come to mind is we've been doing a lot of work with the Greenway Foundation and thinking about the expansion there, and so I'm excited to see that continue. And but I would say my professional career being community economic development, the revitalization of the Art Warehouse, and looking to see what that's going to bring to our community beyond the affordable housing workforce housing component. He has a lot planned, and I'm really excited about it. I'm glad that opportunity presented itself and the council could get behind it.
If I'm not mistaken, just last night, he, Brad, I think is his name, reported that they're looking at maybe about a 12-month construction period, I believe, and they hope to get started in the second quarter, I believe he said, of the 2026, and that they would start marketing it fourth quarter, from what I heard him say 6 months later. So within the fourth quarter, so the end of this year, they may start marketing those apartments. Obviously, they wouldn't be ready until sometime in 2027. And then you mentioned the Greenway, right? Now, that's something that's still going to be building, fundraising. That's probably not going to move real far this year, right? Because we're still in the studies and things like that, right?
Yes, they still have quite a bit of fundraising to do.
Yeah,
but again, as we move through that and seeing how the council can support it and the community can wrap their arms around it, and it's still exciting.
I have been, absolutely. I think it's a wonderful project, and I've been following it all along. But not to extend the conversation about this too long, but what is the overall vision of that in terms of payment? Is that going to be maybe like a 50-50 with the town and the foundation? Is that kind of the way we're proceeding, or are we looking at the foundation to carry most of the heavy lifting on the dollars?
No, they've been tasked with the fundraising. Now, it has been kind of, so to date, it's been piecemeal. They've come forth with a request, very specific request, to which we said, okay, we'll match you at 50%. You have to raise the rest for the study, for example, or the planning. And so right now, as it sits, we've met our commitment that has been asked of us. At this time. Now, that's not to say that there might not be future requests.
I'm sure there will be, and it's a great project. It's something that I think everybody loves, but everybody worries about the price tag, because I think it is going to be. I mean, we're looking at maybe $2 million, and I bet by the time it's done, it's going to be maybe a little more than that. But it is. Once finished, everybody is going to absolutely love it. Mr. Chrisman, I'd pose the same question to you. All the things planned in 2026. What are you most excited about?
We're going to continue a lot of the existing work that we have. Randy, we've got a lot of the master land use plan for the Ralph Dean Rec Park is a big one. Okay. We're working with the Little League out there now to try to do an indoor batting facility for them to support the Little League. Right. Of course, our two new canines, that allows us to have drug interdiction on one dog on each shift, which is a huge deal for Luray. Mayor spoke about the Greenway extension, continuing pedestrian improvements along Luray Avenue between our schools and our rec park. We're going to try to continue that project. Evaluating a public transit program in Luray again. We're working with Valley Regional Transit in the county in the other two towns to try to come up with a potential solution for our local citizens. And then we're completing a parking study in a downtown Luray as part of the comprehensive plan update.
good.
So we're going to be working on that as well. So in addition to all the infrastructure things that we've got up in the air right now, we're going to continue to do all of those things. Again, those are 10 to 15 year phase projects. And so you'll probably hear about those every year from me moving forward.
Something I think I have asked you this question before. I'm just going to pose it again, not looking for a long response. But I remember years ago talking with Mayor Dean, Ralph Dean, who the park's named after, for those who don't know. And he talked about the issue of sidewalks, trying to do a little bit every year. And I look around town, and I see sometimes if there's a project or somewhere where you have to dig, there's a new sidewalk. But do we still kind of follow that policy of trying to do a little bit every year around the town? Is that still?
Yeah. So our sidewalk improvement program, primarily for access, for ADA access, as well as extensions into neighborhoods that need them. One of the projects we're going to be working on in FY27 is a connection between Ray Court and Baker Drive out in the Westloo subdivision to connect those neighborhoods with a walkable sidewalk to keep folks safe, when they're transitioning. And then, of course, the big one is doing a phased approach in the Boonville area. Number one phase is getting from the schools to the rec park. Number two is getting from Luray Avenue to the East End Shopping Center. And then number three is getting from 3rd Street to Village Place, where we have a lot of folks with mobility issues that need that pedestrian access.
Okay. I was curious about that. I drive around town sometimes, and I recognize it over on Blue Ridge there. We're one of the few that has sidewalks on both sides. So it's like, if we do a little bit every year. A little bit every year.
Yep.
Of all the ongoing projects, let's talk about the one that might be a little more difficult to talk about. Of all the projects planned for 2026 or the ongoing projects that we have, what is got the biggest price tag? What's the big elephant in the room?
Our wastewater treatment plant. Yeah. Critical component of our operation.
And am I correct that we're at a point now where we've got to look at a kind of big project that's going to keep us going for decades to come, because we're at maybe the later years of what's currently being used, it's service time. Am I right?
That's correct. Our plant was built in the late 70s. It's been upgraded twice for treatment works, not necessarily for capacity. And so in looking at water and sewer capacities around town, which we recently completed a survey and engineering study of that, we have a surplus of water. We have a deficit of sewer based on current zoning of all in-town parcels. And so we know we have a capacity needed out there. Again, this is another 40 to 50 year deal where we've got to look that far in the future and start investing money now.
But now, so I want you to repeat. So we have an excess of water, as far as our capacity, excess of water, a deficit on sewers. So sewers where we may have to build. Are we talking about just an expansion of the current plant? Are we talking about having to build a whole new plant? Are we having to talk about upgrade the plant to new standards? What are we really talking about?
Really, it's a combination of several things. Number one, we're rated right now at 1.6 million gallons a day. When you get to about 85% of that, the state really starts to ask if you have a plan in place. So we look at those flows. Looking at future development, we really probably need, for a 40 to 50 year development cycle, we probably need to be somewhere around 2.4, 2.5 million total capacity. So we may do a combination of upgrading and expanding the existing plant using new technologies. But the bottom line is sewer is just like the U.S. mail; it never stops.
Right.
And so you have to have facilities to hold all of that until you can get your technological processes to be able to work. And so we will have to have more room. We'll have to have more space, more digesters, more clarifiers. We'll just work on all of those things concurrently.
So again, just so we kind of get it on a level where everybody can understand it, are we going to be doing that in chunks, or is that going to be one big $50 million project? Or can you?
Yeah, currently we're getting a preliminary engineering report that's going to be authorized later this budget cycle, and that'll tell us what we need to do and when and how big of pieces
Okay,
or how small of
okay.
pieces. So once we get that report back, we'll know for sure. But I can almost guarantee it's going to be blocks of improvement. We'll improve sections of the plant as we go because we have to keep the plant operating all
Sure.
the whole time.
Absolutely.
And then we'll build additional capacity through additional measures. We don't have a lot of real estate there, so we're going to have to use depth. We're going to have to build up in some places instead of out.
Right.
But technology's allowed us to work more efficiently in smaller spaces. So as technology develops, 5 years from now, we're going to have things on deck that we couldn't foresee now that will help us in the future.
And that's the report that Racing's working on.
They are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Water and sewer. I mean, everybody. That's the number one. That's the big one for
Yep.
towns. Schools is the big one for county.
Yep.
The big price tag item. What other stuff is going on 2026 we want to mention to let people be on the lookout for?
Gosh, we've included so much already. I think, one of the things that Mayor Dolphmeyer had enacted was for the derelict and abandoned properties, and so seeing what the town could do to help remedy some of those vacated properties, that takes money. Right, and so
Right.
we enacted the ordinance for us that kind of gives us the teeth, if you will, for enforcement, but there has to be a budget with it. And so looking at ways that we can be creative and continue to work on improvements in that, and then trying to with our downtown, we've still got the large watch and warrant on the corner that's vacant. And, one of the other properties did just sell. I think we've got a local business moving into that. But the old Micromac, Jackie's working, I think, has a anticipation of a grant that will help do some study.
Really?
For highest and best use on that facility. And so
Okay,
just again, thinking about how the town can support those efforts. And at the end of the day, that builds community pride. And
Absolutely.
I think activity breeds activity, and so the more that we invest and make it easy for our folks to invest, the more that we'll realize, I think, increased activity and investments.
Very good. Anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Chrisman?
Yeah, 2026 is our 250th anniversary for the nation, so we're going to be
yes.
participating in some celebrations for that. We're going to try to do some things downtown to help recognize that event in our nation's history, and then we're going to try to get at least phase one of our new recreational Parks and Recreational Office building completed out at the rec park, the Ralph D. Rec Park on 6th. So getting a permanent structure there. Currently they're using a temporary mobile office, but getting a permanent structure there that will allow us to put everything, all those folks and all their activities into one building is going to be really important for us as part of our continuing master plan out there at the rec park.
Very good. Well, it sounds like there is a lot going on, a lot to look forward to. I know both of you have been battling with your health a little bit and your schedules and everything and stuff going on. So I want to really, really thank you for the time to sit down and talk with us today to help inform the folks out there about what's going on and what they can look forward to. Thanks again to Stephanie and to Bryan for being here today. If you like today's episode, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Page Valley News. We want to thank Eleanor Arrington for all of her work behind the camera and in the editing room this week. And as always, want to remind you to go down to the Page County Animal Shelter and help one of our furry friends find a forever home. For Mayor Stephanie Lillard, Town Manager Bryan Chrisman, I'm Randy Arrington from the Luray Town Hall Council Chambers saying until next week, enjoy that Page Valley living.